Can you people see the slide? All of you? Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us start with our discussion. Please solve this question. Which of the following are envisaged by the rights against exploitation in the Constitution of India?
Sir, 1 and 4.
Okay. So basically, in how many parts our fundamental rights are divided into? Yes, it's fine. It is Article 23 and 24. So yes. Our fundamental rights are divided into 6 parts. The correct answer is definitely C, that is 1 and 4. That is prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor, and prohibition of employment of children in factories and mines. So originally our constitution provided 7 types of fundamental rights. That is right to equality, that is from 14 to 18, right to freedom, 19 to 22, right against exploitation. This question is about this one, right against exploitation. Then right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to property. This was abolished by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1978, and then right to constitutional remedies by Article 32. So right against exploitation, we have 2 articles under it, that is prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor, and then prohibition of employment of children in factories. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Next question. Which one of the following statement is correct? Rights are claims of the state against the citizens. Rights are privileges which are incorporated in the constitution of a state. Rights are claims of the citizens against the state. And then rights are the privileges of a few citizens against many. What is the correct answer? Yes.
Sir,
The correct
C.
answer is C. And why rights are claims of citizen against the state? Can you people explain? Why rights are considered as claims of citizen against the state? In a democracy, in a democratic polity, it consists of citizen and what? State. Citizens are sovereign in a democratic polity. Okay. They need to have a state to rule over them. For that, they have delegated some powers to the state. As the state is powerful than the citizen, hence, it can exercise the same power to take out all the rights that were given to the citizens. That's why rights are given. Rights act as bulwark against the state. Okay. Through rights, people make demands upon the state, and rights are required for political democracy. Is it clear? In our case, we have fundamental rights, which are meant for promoting the ideals of a political democracy. Because if the state is powerful, it can very well become an authoritarian and despotic state. To limit the power of the state, we have our constitution. Constitution places limitations upon the powers of the state. It ensures that a government is of laws and not of men. And the fundamental rights are guaranteed and protected by our constitution. That is why it is called as the fundamental law of the land. By virtue of Article 32 and Article 226, a citizen can either approach Supreme Court or High Court for the violation of the fundamental rights. Is it clear? Okay. Let's move to the next question. In the context of India, which one of the following is the correct relationship between the rights and the duties? The rights are correlative with the duties, that is, right has some bearing with the duties. Rights are personal and hence independent of the society and duties. Rights and not duties are important for the advancement of the personality of a citizen. Duties and not rights are important for the stability of the state. Yes, as most of you have answered, the answer is A. Can you people tell me whether fundamental duties were originally the part of the constitution or not? Whether it was part of the constitution or
No, sir.
yes. So by virtue of which amendment it was introduced?
42nd.
Yes, by virtue of the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution, the fundamental duties were introduced, and it was based on the recommendation of the Saran Singh Committee. Okay. So let us read. Rights and duties are correlative and inseparable. Okay. And the statement was directly taken from the Lakshmikant. It was asked in the UPSC. Okay. And UPSC has taken directly the statement from the Lakshmikant. That is, the rights and duties are correlative. And in our original constitution, only fundamental rights were there and not the fundamental duties. If the citizens are enjoying the rights, they should certainly have some duties towards the state. Okay. And in 1976, by virtue of the 42nd Amendment Act, it was introduced. And our fundamental duties were influenced from the fundamental duties of the erstwhile USSR. In USSR, it was declared that citizens' exercise of their rights and freedom are inseparable from the performance of their duties and obligations. You can cite the same thing while writing answers for mains. If you have any question, this talks about fundamental rights and fundamental duties. You can quote this one. Okay. That is, the citizens' exercise of their rights and freedoms are inseparable from the performance of their duties and obligations. They have duty towards the state. Next. Which principle among the following was added to the directive principle of state policy by the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution?
Sir, B.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir. 42nd amendment ରୁ ଯୋଉ ଚାରିଟା extra add ହେଇଥିଲା ସେ ଭିତରୁ ଏଟା ଏବେ ଅଛି
What are
participation
those?
of worker and
What are those?
sir ଏଟା first participation of worker ଏଟା article 43 ରେ ଅଛି ଆଉ ତାପରେ healthy development of children ଥିଲା ଆଉ equal justice for poor ଆଉ protection of environment ଆଉ safeguard the forest wildlife ଚାରିଟା।
Okay, good. And how many times our directive principle was amended? How many times it was amended?
So 2 times.
Okay. It was amended for 4 times by virtue of 42nd Amendment, 44th Amendment, 86th Amendment, and 97th Amendment to our Constitution. So let us read about it. The 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, it added four new directive principles. First, to secure opportunity for the healthy development of children. Next, to promote equal justice and provide free legal aid to the poor. That is Legal Services Authority. Authority. You might have heard about it. If a poor person he cannot afford to get the justice, if he cannot afford to hire a lawyer, this Legal Services Authority can provide them legal service. Okay. Then to take steps for the participation of workers in the management of industries. Can you people tell me what is this participation of workers in the management of industries? What is it all about? Anyone? The workers do form trade unions. By virtue of this, they can participate in the management of the industry. They can negotiate with the management for better service conditions. Then, to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard forest and wildlife. Okay. Similar kind of a fundamental duty was there. Please go through it. In the 44th Amendment Act of 1978, one more directive principle was added, which requires the state to minimize the inequalities in income, status, and facilities and opportunities. That is, for the formation of a egalitarian state. Okay. By virtue of this 86th Amendment, elementary education was made a fundamental right, and Article 21A was introduced. That was the right to education. And it required the state to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. So 86th Amendment Act has added one fundamental right, one directive principle, and one fundamental duty. And 97th Amendment Act, it has given constitutional status to our cooperative societies. Okay. Is it clear? Please go through this 86th Amendment
Yes,
Act
sir.
and read all these things. The fundamental right, that is right to education, Article 21A, and one DPSP was added, and one fundamental duty was also added to it. Next. With reference to the Constitution of India, the directive principles of state policy constitute limitations upon
So neither one or two.
okay, why?
So because DPSPs are only guidelines for the state.
Okay.
not justiciable and non-enforceable.
Why do we need a DPSP? For the
Directive.
For the
establishment of
socio-economic
a
development
welfare
of the
state.
state. Yes, sir.
DPSP is required for the establishment of a welfare state. Fundamental rights are required for the establishment of a political democracy. Is it clear? So as per Article 37, DPSPs are not non-justiciable. While writing the answers for the mains, please quote the articles, and this will give you added advantage as compared to your competitors. Remember some important articles, some 50-60 articles are there, and they are very much important. You can quote them while writing your answers. Some articles, then some Supreme Court judgments, important amendments to our constitutions. You can quote all of them, and some recent events. You can quote all of them to enrich your answer. Okay. So directive principles are non-justiciable in nature. That is, they are not legally enforceable as per Article 37. But they are the principles that are fundamental in the governance of the country. This is the basic motto of directive principles of state policy. These are recommendations to the state in legislative, executive, and administrative matters. These are positive obligations. Okay. So the correct answer is definitely D. It doesn't have any legislative function. It doesn't have any executive function. Okay. Next. Consider the following statements. The Parliament can place a particular law in the 9th schedule of the Constitution of India. The validity of law placed in the 9th schedule cannot be examined by any court, and no judgment can be made on it. Please answer. So yes, as most of you have answered, the correct answer is A. Okay. When was 9th schedule introduced to our constitution?
So first Amendment Act 1951.
Yes, by virtue of the First Amendment Act, first constitutional amendment. And why was it required?
Sir, Jamindar abolition, land rights.
And what is so specific about 9th schedule? Is it
Judicial
just about land reforms?
judicial review.
Sir,
What judicial? If you place a certain law in 9th schedule, it would be immune to judicial review. Okay. And why was it required? Why is it required?
The remove right of property, fundamental right.
I think in the last class I have do you people have attend? Do you people attend? Have you attended the last class? Okay. So in the last class, I have elaborately discussed about this 9th schedule, right? So, what was the need? At the time of independence, there were jamindars, okay, and there were peasants, were landless peasants, and we have thought of creating a egalitarian society. That is to minimize the inequalities in income and status. For that, we have to transfer the land from the jamindar to the landless. But at that point of time, right to property was a fundamental right by virtue of Article 31. Okay. So, if the government formulate any kind of legislation to take the land away from the jamindars and give it to the landless peasants, definitely they can approach the Supreme Court. By virtue of which article? If your fundamental
13.
32, if your fundamental right violated, you can
Read.
approach to the Supreme Court by virtue of Article 32. Okay, so that will definitely lead to some unnecessary complications. To get rid of that, the government has done this ninth schedule. If they place any law in this ninth schedule, that will be immune to judicial review. Okay, but so in the successive governments, what they did, instead of this land reform legislation, they have put a lot of other legislations also in this ninth schedule. That is, they did it to make those legislations immune from judicial review. Okay, so is it immune to judicial review right now?
Yes, sir. In 2007,
No, this
so
is not immune to judicial review. This is subjected to judicial review by virtue of this IR Coelho case. In
yes, sir.
IR Coelho case, the Supreme Court has maintained that any law which is placed in the ninth schedule after 1973 will be subjected to judicial review. And why they have quoted this year 1973?
Kesavanandi Bharti.
Yeah, it was
The basic
Kesavananda
feature.
Bharati judgment,
Yes.
which talks about basic structure of our constitution. Basic structure of our constitution. And the Supreme Court has opined that judicial review is a basic structure of the constitution. So, based on this case, IR Coelho case, the validity of any law placed in the ninth schedule can be examined by a court. Fine. So, the first amendment to the constitution has inserted new articles 31A and 31B in the ninth schedule. So, based on that, the Jamindari abolition laws could not be challenged on the grounds that they violated the fundamental rights. Okay. But subsequently, what the governments have done, they have added other legislations also in the ninth schedule to make them immune from the judicial review. So, by virtue of this IR Coelho case, the Supreme Court ruled that there could not be any blanket immunity from judicial review for the laws included in the ninth schedule. From this date onwards, any law which has been included in the ninth schedule would be subjected to judicial review. Is it clear? All of you? Next. In the federation established by the Government of India, Act of 1935, the residuary power were given to okay. All of you, please participate.
Governor General.
I can see that only 5 to 7 people are participating and rest 20 people are not participating. Please participate in the question answer session. This is not just a discussion class. This is a question answer session. You need to participate so that you can gain maximum out of this class. What do you mean by this residuary power?
So the power which is not listed in the constitution.
In the constitution or in the division of powers?
Not division of power.
This Government of India Act of 1935 has divided the powers between the center and the provinces in 3 lists. That is central list, provincial list, and concurrent list. So the powers were divided between the center and the province. But if anything that are not mentioned in this list, that will be termed as a residuary power, and that lies with the Governor General. Can you tell us at the present scenario, the residuary power lies with the
Parliament.
sorry.
Parliament, sir.
Yes. Can you people point out some of the other provisions of this Government of India Act of 1935? What are some of the other provisions of this act?
Sir, federal structure.
Abolish
What
the
was-
Council of India.
What is this federal structure?
Sir, division of power.
Division.
No, sorry.
Yes. Provincial autonomy
Autonomy.
and RBI. Okay, so let us discuss one by one. What is this federal structure? What is this All India Federation?
Sir,
What is this All India Federation? It has consisted British India and princely states. What do you mean by princely states? What do you mean by princely states?
independent ହେଇକି sir ଯୋଉମାନେ ଥିଲେ ମାନେ ବ୍ରିଟିଶ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣାନ୍ସ ଭିତରେ ନଥିଲେ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ସ ଗୁଡା ବଟ୍ ସେମାନେ ଲାଷ୍ଟରେ ରାଜି ବି ହେଲେନି ସୋ ଅଲ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଫେଡରେସନ ବି ଫେଲୁଅର ହେଇଥିଲା।
Okay. Can you cite some of the examples of princely states?
Yes, sir, ଜୁନାଗଡ଼ sir, ହାଇଦ୍ରାବାଦ ଜମ୍ମୁ ଆଣ୍ଡ କାଶ୍ମୀର ଏମାନେ ସବୁ ରାଜି ନଥିଲେ।
Yes. Like Hyderabad, like
ଜୁନାଗଡ଼.
Baroda state,
Yes, sir.
Mysore state. Those are all the princely states. And what is the genesis of the princely states? What is the genesis of the princely states? 1858 Act. And then the crown became the paramount power. Right? And princely states have become the subordinate to this paramount power. Okay. They did not have any say in the defense, international relations, and communications. These were vested with the crown. Okay. In this All India Federation, okay, it should have consisted the British India and the princely states, and 104 seats were allocated to the princely states. At that point of time, around 40% of India were governed by the princely states, and 104 seats were allotted to the princely states, and they were to nominate their representatives. And it was said that if more than 52 seats were filled, and if they represent more than 50% of the population, then the All India Federation would be established. So the features of the Government of India Act are as follows. The All India Federation, it consisted of provinces and the princely states. Okay. This act divided the powers between the center and states, the federal list, provincial list, and the concurrent list. Currently, we call it as union list, state list, and concurrent list. Residuary powers are given to the viceroy. It abolished the diarchy in the provinces and introduced provincial autonomy. What do you understand by the term provincial autonomy?
सर गोटे ट्रांसफर लिस्ट थिला और गोटे रिजर्व लिस्ट थिला जोटा कि
That was about the
1990 लागू
diarchy. 1919 Act. That was about the diarchy. Provincial autonomy. The provinces.
so the power center
Autonomous
to the
unit.
government.
Yes, they have become autonomous units. They have directly deriving their powers from the crown. Okay. adoption of hierarchy at the center, but the All India Federation could never come into picture. So the center, the power was as per the Government of India Act of 1919. Okay. This is the genesis of Reserve Bank of India. Next, it has provided for a Federal Service Commission, Provincial Public Service Commission, and Joint Public Service Commission. This is the genesis of UPSC. Okay. And it has provided for establishment of Federal Court. This is the genesis of Supreme Court. Next, which of the following are regarded as the main features of rule of law? Okay. All of you, please answer. Okay. Only 2-3 people are participating. Rest are not doing it. Why? This is a very simple question. Only if you participate actively, then only this concept will be clear to you. Okay. Yes. The answer is C. Limitation of powers, equality before law, and liberty and civil rights. Rule of law protects this one. Okay. People responsibility to the government, it has nothing to do with this rule of law. Who has coined this rule of law term?
British government.
That is A.V. Dicey. Okay. And what did he mean? Absence of arbitrary power. That is, no man can be punished except for the breach of law. Is it clear? Only if you breach any law, then only there will be a punishment for you. There would not be any arbitrary power. Next, equality before law. That is, equal subjugation of all, whether it is a rich or poor, high or low class, to the ordinary law of the land by the ordinary law courts. Okay. So we have this ordinary law courts. What do you mean by this ordinary law court?
So न्याय पंचायत एवढा पेपर आहे.
No. That is not the meaning of this ordinary law court. In the concept of equality, we can say that ordinary law courts means only one type of law court is there. Okay. Like subordinate court, then district court, then high court, then Supreme Court. We have one system of judiciary. Okay. But in case of France, they have two types of judiciaries. One is droit administrative. That is, in our case, we can say administrative tribunal. Like CAT, SHAT, etc. And another one is the normal courts. Okay. So normal citizens are subjected to this court, ordinary courts, and administrators are subjected to this droit administrative. That is administrative tribunals. And A.V. Dicey has vehemently opposed this one. That is, there should be a single set of courts. That is, the administrators are not superiors. They are same as the common citizens of a country. So all of them should be subjected to same type of courts. But in France, there are two types of systems. In India also, we have this CAT, SHAT, but they are subjected to the supervisory jurisdictions of High Court and Supreme Court. So this is the rule of law. Equality before law. This is Article 14. The state shall not deny any person equality before the law or equal protection of law within the territory of India. And this rule of law is a basic structure of our constitution, which Supreme Court has defined. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is negative connotation of rule of law. Can you people tell me what is the positive connotation of rule of law?
Um,
Sorry?
sir, article 20 କହିପାରିବେ କି?
No, 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 no. In this article 40, can you tell us what are the positive connotations of rule of law? This is negative connotation of rule of law, which is defined by evidence. The positive connotation of rule of law are
The
like
procedure established by law.
that is different. Due process of law, procedure established by law, those are different.
Okay.
Positive connotation of rule of law is equality of treatment under equal circumstances, both in the privileges conferred and liabilities imposed by the law. That is, all citizens will be subjected to equal type of treatment. Similar application of same laws to all persons who are similarly situated. And then the like should be treated alike without any discrimination. These are all positive connotation of rule of law. Okay. Is it clear?
Again ଟିକେ କହିବେ କି?
Okay. First, equality of treatment under equal circumstances. See, this is the negative connotation, that is absence of arbitrary power. No man can be punished except for the breach of law. If someone breaches the law, he'll be punished. What is the positive connotation? The equality of treatment under equal circumstances. Similar application of law to all persons. This one, if someone breaches the law, he'll be punished. And this positive connotation is same law will be applicable to similar type of persons. Okay. Same law will be applicable to all persons. Okay. Like will be treated alike. This is what? Equal subjugation of all citizens to ordinary court, law of the land. This is negative connotation. And its positive connotation is like should be treated alike without any discrimination. Okay. Next. Right to privacy as protected is protected as an intrinsic part of right to life and personal liberty. Which of the following in the Constitution of India correctly and appropriately implies this? This is a very simple question. I expect all of you to answer it. Okay. Can anyone tell me what is the exact wordings of Article 21?
Protection of life and personal liberty.
That is not the exact wordings. Sorry, please answer. No person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. Here comes this procedure established by law. Please remember this Article 21 as it is written in the Constitution, because while writing answer for the mains, it will come in handy. That is, Article 21 is about protection of life and personal liberty, and it says, no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by the law. What do you mean by this procedure established by law? Please answer. Procedure established by law means in our setup we have legislature, we have executive, and we have judiciary. Legislature is supposed to formulate the laws. If it has formulated any law, the judiciary is bound to follow it. It cannot go into the rationality or fairness of the law. Okay. But this connotation was changed during the Maneka Gandhi case, in which we have come across due process of law. Due process of law. This is an American concept. Okay. By this due process of law, if a law is not fair, if a law is unfair, the Supreme Court can very well struck it down. Okay. Next. The Supreme Court ruled that right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part under this Article 21. Article 21 declares that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. I have already explained this one. Okay. This is available to both citizens and non-citizens. Remember, which articles are applicable to citizens and which articles are applicable to both citizens as well as non-citizens. In this Maneka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court overruled the judgment in Gopalan case. In Gopalan case, the Supreme Court has talked about this procedure established by law. That is, if a law is passed in the legislature, whatever may it be, Supreme Court will be bound by it. It will not go into the rationality or fairness of the law. But in this Maneka Gandhi case, the Supreme Court ruled that right to life and personal liberty cannot be deprived by the law. Okay. Then this due process of law has come into picture. Okay. That is, the law can be questioned on the ground of this unreasonableness, unfair, or unjust nature. So, the protection under Article 21 is not only against this arbitrary executive action, but also arbitrary legislative action. If the legislature formulates any law which is unreasonable, unfair, or unjust, the Supreme Court can struck it down. Next. Right to life also includes right to live with human dignity. Next. Under which schedule of the Constitution can the transfer of tribal land to the private parties for mining can be declared null and void?
Fifth schedule.
Yes. It is the fifth schedule of the Constitution. What is fifth schedule is all about?
Control of scheduled areas or tribal areas.
So provision
Not
related
tribal
to the
areas, scheduled tribes, administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. Okay. Sixth schedule is about the tribal areas. See, fifth schedule of the Constitution deals with administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes in any state except AMTM, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. If you look into the map of India, you'll find that below this Assam, Meghalaya is there, and Tripura and Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram are lying side by side. So do not confuse this Meghalaya with Manipur or this Mizoram with Manipur. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. Fifth schedule is about administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. In our country, around 10 states scheduled areas were defined. And in sixth schedule, deals with the administration of the tribal areas, okay, of this AMTM, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. What is the speciality of this fifth schedule?
Inner permit line.
Tribal Advisory Council. It is there in this fifth schedule. And in sixth schedule, district councils are there and regional councils are there. Sixth schedule areas have more power as compared to fifth schedule areas. They have more independence. Next. Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in respect of which of the following?
Sir, A হবে। Sir, A হবে।
This is equal powers with the Lok Sabha, not unequal power.
Okay.
Sir, B.
Yes. With respect to the amendment of the Constitution, the Rajya Sabha has equal power with the Lok Sabha. In respect of creating all India services, Rajya Sabha has exclusive power. Removal of the government, that can be done by the Lok Sabha. Making court motions, that can also be done by the Lok Sabha. These are the things where Rajya Sabha has equal power with Lok Sabha. That is, introduction or passage of ordinary bills, introduction and passage of constitutional amendment bills, and election and impeachment of the president. These are the three things where the Rajya Sabha has equal power with the Lok Sabha. As per Article 312, the Rajya Sabha can create an all India services provided it is supported by a majority of the 2/3 members present and voting. Okay. Next, as per Article 75, subsection 3, the Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. Okay. So Lok Sabha has greater control as compared to Rajya Sabha. Court motions, those are all related to the budgets. Okay. So that can only be done in Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha can only make some recommendation that can be either accepted or rejected by the Lok Sabha. As per Article 368 of the Constitution, the bill to amend a constitution can be introduced in the either house of the parliament. We have already discussed about this constitutional amendment in detail in our previous lecture, right? Okay. In the context of polity, which of the following would you accept as the most appropriate definition of liberty? All of you, please answer. Okay. Definitely. In this type of questions, there would be divergence of opinions. All of you, please try. Okay. So many people have answered that A is the correct answer. Protection against the tyranny of the political rulers. Can you people explain me about it? Okay. So let us discuss. The liberty has two connotations. One is positive and another one negative. Negative is absence of restraints. But the positive connotation of liberty is the opportunity to develop oneself fully. So, if both of them are mentioned, we'll definitely go by this positive connotation of liberty. That is this one, opportunity to develop oneself fully. That is the core philosophy of liberty. And to retain that, we need this absence of restraints. Only absence of restraint would not lead to liberty. If there is no restraint, that can lead to chaos. Okay, right? If there is no law, there is no government, that will definitely lead to chaos. The basic principle of liberty is to give opportunity to citizens to develop themselves fully, and for doing that, we need some kind of absence of restraints, right? In case of totalitarian state, we cannot have any liberty. There has to be some restraint in the powers of the state. Next. The term liberty means absence of restraints on the activities of the individuals and at the same time providing opportunities for the development of individual personalities. Okay. This is the basic thing, and for this we need this. Next. Consider the following statements. The Parliament, Prevention of Disqualification Act this exempts several posts from disqualification on the ground of office of profit. The above mentioned act was amended 5 times. The term office of profit is well defined in the Constitution of India. Please answer. All of you, please answer.
Sir, A1.
Okay. Why the answer is A?
Sir, office of profit defined है. So eliminate color A कर.
Okay. So, can you tell me what is this office of profit? Fine, office of profit is not defined in the Constitution of India. If you come across any question which says something is defined in the Constitution of India, please go through it carefully, because in most of the cases, a lot of things are not defined in the Constitution of India. You can check Article 366. Only a few things are defined. Okay. Beyond that, most of the things are undefined in our Constitution. So definitely, this is not defined in our Constitution. So if we remove this one, we will find the answer as A, 1 and 2. But let us take for an example, like this year's UPSC pattern. If the answer is written like 1, 2, 3, none, what have you done? 1 only, 2 only, 3, and none. But because this elimination method is no more relevant in current UPSC scenario. You have to be thorough about your concepts. Okay. So what do you mean by this office of profit? What is so significant about this office of profit that if somebody is holding a position in this office of profit, he will be disqualified? Office of profit means some kind of remunerative post. Okay. Our parliamentary democracy is based on separation of power between legislature, executive, and judiciary. Right. In our case, executive comes from the legislature, that is the council of ministers that comes from the legislature and is responsible to it. Right. The legislature, if the members of the legislature hold any remunerative post, definitely they will be biased in their opinion. That is the basic reason. If they hold any office of profit, their inclination would be towards that office. If any law comes, it should have any negative implication to that office, they'll certainly deny it. They'll certainly resist it. To maintain the independence of the legislature, this was introduced. Okay. Because office of profit is an executive post. And in case of separation of power, except this, in case of this council of ministers, others would not hold any executive post. Office of profit, MP and MLAs are the members of the legislature and hold government accountable for its work. So, if they hold in the office of profit, they will be susceptible to the government influence and may not discharge their constitutional mandate fairly. Let us say, out of this 543 seats in the Lok Sabha, the ruling party has 300 seats. Okay. And the opposition has, let us say, 243 seats. Let us say, based on the ruling party, what they did to get some special majority, they have given some remunerative post to some opposition leaders. So definitely they will support the policies of the government, and that would be against the basic ethos of the separation of power, right? So to ensure that there is no conflict between the duties and interests of the elected members, this was introduced. Okay. This is based on this separation of power, which is our basic structure of the constitution. These are exempted, okay, and this was amended 5 times, as you just said. Many offices were exempted, like Minister of State, Parliamentary Secretaries, Deputy Chief Whips, Vice Chancellor of Universities. These are all okay. These are not remunerative post or office of profit as per this act. Next. Constitution of India doesn't clearly define what is an office of profit. Okay. But the interpretations were made based on various court judgments. This Article 102(1) Section 1 and Article 191 Section 1 of the Constitution deals with the disqualification of the MLAs and MPs. If they hold any office of profit, they will be disqualified. Okay. Is it clear? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Next. If the President of India exercises his power as provided under Article 356 of the Constitution in respect of a particular state, then what will happen? Okay. Please answer. Okay. Yes. The correct answer is answer B. The power of the legislature of that state shall be exercisable by or under the authority of the parliament. Okay. Article 19 is suspended in which case?
352.
National emergency. Right. The assembly of the state is automatically dissolved. Is it true? It is suspended, not dissolved. And then parliament can make laws to the state. Let us read. What is Article 355 is all about? This is about duty of the union to protect state against external aggression and internal rebellion. Okay. It shall be the duty of the union to protect every state against external aggression or internal disturbances and to ensure that the government of every state is carried in accordance with the provisions of the constitution. This is very important. Okay. It is not just about the protecting the state, but it is about ensuring that the government of every state is carried out in accordance with the provision of the constitution. Recently, you would have seen in case of Manipur, the government of India has invoked this Article 355. That is, it has the duty to protect the state against internal disturbances. Right. So this one is written like government of every state is carried out in accordance with the provision of the constitution. It has to be carried out. If it is not carried out, then Article 356 comes into picture. If there is a failure in the constitutional machinery of the state, okay, then Article 356 can be imposed. Okay. In case of failure of the constitutional machinery in the state, Article 356 would be imposed, and this is known as state emergency, president's rule, or constitutional emergency. This Article 356 can be imposed on two grounds. What are those? First, if the president feels that the government of a state cannot be carried out in accordance with the provision of the constitution, then he can impose Article 356, that is failure of the constitutional machinery of the state, right? Then what is this Article 365? Can you tell us what is this Article 365?
approval ଦରକାର ହବ
That means
simple majority of the parliament ରେ
what is Article 365? I'm asking you, what is Article 365? Center can give direction to the state, okay, and in case the state is not obliging to the direction of the center, then it can be considered that the government of the state cannot be carried in accordance to the provisions of the constitution. So they can impose Article 356, right? And what are the consequences? And one more thing, once this president rule is imposed, the houses of the legislative assembly of the state will be in a suspended state. It has to be approved by the houses of the parliament within 2 months from the date of the issue. If it is not done, then the assembly will be restored. The president requires the following extraordinary powers. Okay. What are the consequences? The president can take up the function of the state government and powers vested in the governor or any executive authority. He can declare that powers of the state legislature are to be exercised by the parliament. We have already discussed about it in our question. Okay. What are the consequences? If there is a president's rule, then power of the state legislature would be exercised by the parliament. And in case of legislature, that will be exercised by the parliament. In case of executive, that will be done by the governor. Okay. Then he can take all the necessary steps, including the suspension of the constitutional provisions relating to any body or authority of the state. Next. So, what in case of president's rule, first the president dismisses the state council of ministers headed by the chief minister. So first is what is the consequences? That is dismissal of council of ministers of the state. Okay. The state governor on the behalf of the president carries out the state administration with the help of the chief secretary of the state or the advisors appointed by the president. Okay. In case of 38th Amendment Act, it was said that the satisfaction of the president in invoking this cannot be questioned in any court on any ground. But this was deleted by 44th Amendment Act of 1978. That is, the satisfaction of president is not beyond judicial review. Right? If a president imposes this Article 356 based on the report of the governor, then the same can be subjected to judicial review. In case of Esar Bomai case, this is very, very important. In any center-state relation, you can quote the Esar Bomai judgment. In this Esar Bomai case, the Supreme Court has laid out certain conditions. That is, this president rule is subjected to judicial review. Then, if the court holds that the presidential proclamation is unconstitutional and invalid, it has the power to restore the dismissed state government and revive the state legislative assembly if it is required. It was done in case of Bihar in 2005. Okay. The Supreme Court has revived the state legislative assembly. Then the state legislative assembly should be dissolved only after the parliament has approved the presidential proclamation, right? That is, the parliament has to approve it within 2 months. Next. In case of loss of confidence, that is no confidence motion, that has to be proved only on the floor of the house. In some states, what they have done, they'll call a meeting in a hotel or something like that, and they'll tell that the ruling party doesn't have the necessary numbers, and based on their report, the governor will dissolve the state legislative assembly. Now it has been prohibited. The majority will be tested only on the floor of the house. And then when a new political party assumes power at the center, it will not have any authority to dismiss ministries formed by other parties in the state. Can you cite an example on this?
Maharashtra government.
No. In 1977, Janata Party has come to power, right? After the emergency. And they have dissolved the assemblies of 9 Congress-ruled states, stating that they do not represent the popular mandate. In 1980, Congress again came to power. Okay. And they have dissolved the same 9 state legislative assemblies, stating the same reason, that they do not have the popular mandate of the people. Okay. So now it has been decided after this SR Bomai judgment that when a new political party assumes the power at the center, it will not have the authority to dismiss ministries formed by other parties in the state. Is it clear? Next. Please answer this question. With reference to the election of the President of India, consider the following statements. Please answer. All of you, please answer.
Sir, one only.
Okay. Why?
Sir, it state population to change hobo na. Value of MLA bahla.
Okay.
Then 2 re to sir total MPs ratio by the total value of MLA. Each value of MLA.
ठीक अछि तार फॉर्मूला कोन?
Total population of state by sir value of each MLA hochi total population of state by total number of elected member in the legislative assembly into 1 by 1000. That is the value of 1 MLA. When
Okay,
we
so
come
let us
to the
discuss.
yes sir.
Okay, so let us discuss about it. Definitely the answer is A only. A, one only. Okay. And the value of vote of each MLA varies from state to state. So let us discuss about the formula. What is the formula? This one. The value of vote of an MLA. What is this? The total population of the state by the total number of elected members in the state legislative assembly. In case of Odisha, let us take for an example, our population is 4 crore. Okay? 147 into 1 by 1000. That is the value of the vote of an MLA in Odisha. In case of UP, let us take for an example, their population is 20 crore. And let us say they have 400 members. So definitely in case of UP, it would be different as in case of Odisha. Right? So value of vote of an MLA would differ from state to state. And what is the formula for the value of MPs?
So,
This is this. Total value of votes of all MLAs of all states. That is by total number of elected members of the parliament. Okay. So value of vote of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha members would be the same. Right? Is it clear?
yes sir.
So let us discuss about the election of the president. Who can participate in the election of the president? The elected member of both houses of the parliament, the elected members of the state legislative assemblies, and the elected member of the legislative assemblies of Delhi and Puducherry. Okay. Nominated members cannot participate in the election of the president. Right. Fine. Next. This is the value of the vote of an MLA. This is the value of the vote of an MP. So in case of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the value of vote would be the same. Next. Consider the following statements. Please read the statement and answer accordingly. This is a purely factual question.
सर बी हो
Okay. B kind of answer.
सर एटा बोधे कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी बोधे हेतला वन टारे सर स्वतंत्र पार्टी न सर बोधे कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी थला आ सर 3 टा को देखिले एटा जो अपोजिशन टा सर 55 मेंबर्स हो
ठीक अछि
1/10th of the total
एबे यदि
membership of the
एबे एकर यूपीएससी पैटर्न जेमते अछि सेमते यदि थांता ताहले
अच्छा स्किप करियो
पुराना यूपीएससी पैटर्न बोली एटा अछि राइट एटा
Yes,
में
sir.
रिमूव कर दबा नुवा यूपीएससी पैटर्न कर दबा कोन
स्किप
करियो
करिवो सर स्किप करिवो
सेसे वर्ष यूपीएससी रे बहुत कम अछि कट ऑफ राइट
यस सर
एटा ठीक अछि योर लॉजिक इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट एना लोकसभा रे डेफिनेटली एटा 75 हबनी 10% हमहु दरकार लीडर ऑफ अपोजिशन पे राइट तो एटा तो भूल अछि 3 टा एलिमिनेट कर देला आंसर 2 स्वतंत्र पार्टी हो कि न हो राइट ले एबे तो सेमती नाही तो एबे टिके जिनसोडा टिके डीपली पढिबार अछि और बहुत क्वेश्चन भी प्रैक्टिस करियार अछि और जेबे भी क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस करियार अछि तारा रिलेटेड थ्योरीज गुडा को भी टिके डिटेल रे पढियार अछि राइट मु भी जेबे भी क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस करू छी नॉर्मली रिलेटेड थ्योरीज गुडा पढे रहू छी जस्ट खाली आंसर पढूने राइट सो definitely the answer is B. This is not 75, this is 10%. Okay, so 10% would turn out to be around like this is not Swatantra Party, this is Communist Party. Who was the founder of this Swatantra Party?
जे
Who was the founder of this Swatantra Party? And why did he found it? Always look after the why aspect of the question. In case of mains, in case of answer writing, your answer will be divided into introduction, body and conclusion, right? In case of introduction, always hit this part. Why? Why has it happened? Write that in 2 lines and that will be your introduction. That will be a very good introduction. Okay. In case of mains, always do this. In case of body, you can segregate it into many subheadings as per the demand of the questions. And in each subheading, put your argument, support it by facts, and in conclusion, give your opinion about the question. That should be your approach while dealing with any question in mains. Okay. So Swatantra Party was founded by C. Rajagopalachari. He was the first Indian
Independent government.
Governor General, right? Okay. And why did he found it? Nehru was a leftist, right? His inclination is towards the left, that is towards the socialist model. But
Yes.
C. Rajagopalachari, he was a right-wing politician. Right means in terms of economy, not in terms of political ideology. Okay. He has supported greater participation of private players in the market, that the state should have least control over the market. That was his philosophy. And he was supported by the princess of princely states. Okay. So Communist Party won only 16 seats, and that was the opposition party, principal opposition party in first election. Ram Subhash Singh, he became the first leader of opposition in 1969, because till then we did not have sufficient strength in the opposition party to become a leader of opposition. Next, with reference to the Parliament of India, which of the following Parliament committees scrutinizes the reports to the House whether the power to make regulation, rules, sub-rules conferred by the Constitution of India or delegated by the Parliament are being properly exercised by the executive within the scope of such delegation. It will take around 2 minutes to read this question.
B ହେବ।
B हवा ठीक ଅଛି, right? So what is the demand of the question? What do you mean by delegation? B हवा absolutely correct. This is the power of the Committee of Subordinate Legislation. But my question is, what is delegation of power? कौनटा delegation करा ହେଇଛି from legislature to executive? See, Parliament is not an expert body, right? So they'll frame acts, and acts are basically skeletons. They are only the outer structure, the frame of any legislation. Then the executive will form rules, regulations, like that. Based on this frame, based on the skeleton provided by the act. Because executive, they can rope in experts, subject experts from various fields, and they can frame the regulations. But to ensure that whether these regulations are in accordance with the structure of the act or not, to ensure that thing, we have this Committee on Subordinate Legislation. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
All of you?
Yes, sir.
ये legislature ର power होचे act formulate करिबा, right? Executive कौन कोची तापर rules and regulations frame कोची, कहना legislature ସେମାନେ generalist politicians, they are not subject experts, right? तो तार basis रे executive कौन करूची rules regulation frame करूची. तो से rules regulation whether they are in accordance with the spirit of the act or not, that will be done by this Committee on Subordinate Legislation. Okay. This is the principle of separation of power. And delegation of power, and using the domain expertise of the experts. In Lok Sabha, it consists of 15 members. In Rajya Sabha, it consists of 10 members. It was constituted in 1953. Okay.
So, no, এটা হচ্ছে government of assurance. 15 member Lok Sabha और 10 member ରାଜ୍ୟସଭା ଏଟା ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଅଫ୍ ଆସାମ ଏଟା each 15 members.
Okay. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. This is Committee on Government Assurances. Correct, correct. You are correct. Yes. So leave it about the numbers. The basic, could you understand the basic philosophy of this Committee on Subordinate Legislation? That is our main principle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Next. Regarding money bill, which of the following statement is not correct?
See how.
Okay. All of you, please participate. Yes, the answer is C. Okay. But the thing is that you need to remember this article very thoroughly. Okay. Each and every word you need to remember. Only then you could answer this question with absolute certainty. Article 110 of the Constitution deals with the definition of money bills. It says that the bill is deemed to be money bill if it contains only the provision dealing with any of the following matters. Okay. That is this imposition, abolition, remission, alteration, regulation of any tax. Okay. This is not contingency fund. This is consolidated fund, right?
Yes, sir.
Next. The regulation of borrowing of the money by the union government. Then the custody of consolidated fund of India or the contingency fund of India, the payment of monies into or withdrawal of money from such fund, appropriation of money out of the consolidated fund of India. Then declaration of any expenditure charged on the consolidated India. What are the charged expenditure? Can you cite some examples?
Supreme Court judge for salary.
All of you, please participate. Only one fellow is answering, and rest are all silent. The receipt of money on account of the Consolidated Fund of India or the public account of India, or the custody of such money or audit of accounts of Union of India or of the state. In any matter incidental. Okay. So please remember all of them very clearly. This is very, very important. Okay. Next. Out of the following statements, choose the one that brings out the principle underlying the cabinet form of government. Please answer.
See, okay, sir.
Okay. Can you mention the article based on which you have arrived at your
75(3). 75(3), sir.
yes? And what is that?
Sir, collective responsibility of the cabinet to the
Not
Lok
cabinet. Council
No,
of
no, sir. Council of Minister to Lok Sabha. To the Lok Sabha.
Can you tell me which amendment has introduced this term cabinet in our constitution?
Sir, 44th Amendment, 1978.
Yes. 44th Amendment has introduced the term cabinet in our constitution. That is in case of proclamation of emergency,
Emergency.
national emergency,
Yes.
the Prime Minister has to take the written recommendation of the cabinet. Written recommendation of the ministers of cabinet rank. That was the exact wording. Okay.
Yes.
So let us discuss about this question. As most of you have answered, the answer is definitely C, a mechanism of parliamentary democracy for ensuring collective responsibility of the government to the people. And for this only we have chosen this cabinet form of government or parliamentary form of government. Okay, next. What are the some features? Okay. This parliamentary system is based on the principle of cooperation and coordination between the legislative and executive organs. Okay. In case of parliamentary democracy, this is legislature, this is executive. Executive comes from the legislature, that is Council of Ministers. Okay. They come from the legislature and they are responsible to the people of India, because this legislature can make them accountable through various motions. Okay. Like no confidence motion, they can make them accountable. Then, whereas presidential system, that is based on the doctrine of separation of power, right? In their case, executive is completely different from the legislature. In our case, the minister has to be a member of the parliament or state legislature, right? Otherwise, they have to be elected within 6 months. Otherwise, to resign from their position, right? But in case of presidential system, like in case of America, the president is all powerful. He can switch his minister, like secretaries. The secretary has not to be a, is not to be a member of the Congress. There is no compulsory provision as that is in case of India, right? There is rigid separation of powers between the legislature, executive, and judiciary. But we have adopted this parliamentary model, which is also known as Westminster model, cabinet form of government, or responsible government. Why do we call it Westminster model?
Because British Parliament is located at
Yes.
Westminster.
Yes. The constitution establishes parliamentary not only at the center but also in the states, because we have given more importance to responsibility and accountability than mere separation of power. But one more demerit of parliamentary system of government is that it will be unstable.
Unstable.
Okay, no fixed tenure. If a coalition partner withdraws its support, the government will be in minority, right?
Sir, policy भी break ही जाए.
Yes, there is a
Government
break of the
change.
policies, because let us say Congress is ruling for around 10 years and then BJP has come. Okay, so definitely there would be some kind of divergence in the policy. But in case of presidential system, that is not the case. Next. Mostly that is not the case, not exactly. Because he has, in case of Trump or in case of this, what, Biden, there are definitely divergence of policies. But mostly the act of deep state is there, and mostly there is some continuity in the policies. And some of the features present of nominal and real executive. In case of our system, nominal executive is president and real executive is prime minister. Nominal is de jure executive. Prime minister is de facto. Right?
Yes, sir.
Majority party rule. Collective responsibility of the executive to the legislature by virtue of Article 75, Section 3. Majority party rule. Okay. Then membership of the minister to the legislature. Right. That is, a minister has to be a member of the legislature. Otherwise, he would be disqualified after 6 months. Then leadership of the prime minister or the chief minister. Definitely, prime minister or chief minister is the leader of the house. Then dissolution of the lower house after the completion of the tenure, or in case of dissolution of the government. That is largely based on the British pattern, but we have some differences. Like in case of Britain, the head of the state, nominal head of the state is hereditary,
Monarchical head.
monarchy. In case of ours,
Republican head.
republic, the president is elected, even if indirectly elected, but he's a representative of all of the India, right? In case of this parliamentary system, the role of prime minister has become very significant. That's why we call it prime ministerial government. Right? Next. The Parliament of India exercises control over the function of Council of Ministers through
So only A haba. No.
So 1, 2, 3.
okay. All of you, please answer. Definitely, the answer is D. That is 1, 2, 3. These are all the avenues through which the Parliament exercises control over the Council of Ministers. Okay, and we'll discuss about it briefly. First is question hour. What do you mean by this question hour? Through this question hour, the members of the Parliament ask question to the ministers. Okay. It can be of three types: start question, on-start question, short notice question. In start question, there will be oral answer. On-start question, there will be written answer. Remember these things. In case of on-start question, it would require written answer. Hence, supplementary question cannot follow. Whereas in case of start question, there will be oral answer. Hence, supplementary question can follow. Right. Next, short notice question. By giving a notice of less than 10 days, the members of the parliament or state legislature can ask question to the ministers. And it is answered orally. Question can also be asked to the private members. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Question hour is
Yes,
the
sir.
first hour of every parliamentary sitting. Next. Motions. No discussion on matter of general public importance can take place except on a motion made with the consent of the presiding officer. All these motions, adjournment motion, no conflict motion, anything that has to be done with the consent of the presiding officer of the house. Okay. And the motion can be adopted by this either minister or private members. Okay. Next, adjournment motion. What is the necessity? To draw attention of the house to a definite matter of urgent public importance. In case of a matter which requires urgent attention of the house, that would require an adjournment motion. It has to be passed by, it has to be supported by 50 members, so that the motion will be acknowledged by the presiding officer. Right? It is an element of censure against the government. and it should not be less than 2 hours and 30 minutes. And it should be subjected to the following restrictions. The matter should be definite, factual, urgent, and public importance, and it should not cover more than one matter. Only in case of one matter, you can move this adjournment motion. It has to be passed by 50 members. That has to be acknowledged by the presiding officer. Next, no confidence motion. Article 75(3). What does it say? Council of Ministers will be collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. In case they will stay in power as long as they enjoy the confidence of the majority of the members of the Lok Sabha. Okay. So in case of loss of confidence, the Lok Sabha can move a no confidence motion. It has to be passed by 50 members. And after that, the motion will take place. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
This is all for today's class. In our next class, I'll discuss the. Sorry. So, in our next class, I will discuss the rest 20 questions of mock test number 5. In the meantime, you can practice as many questions as you can. Do you people, I mean, are you practicing the questions of our mock test? The mock test questions थोड़ा अच्छी थोड़ा सा practice करो कि